Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's bring in the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Basketball. We are joined by our good friend and colleague, Ishmael Johnson. Ishmael, how are you?
Oh, hello.
That's good to talk with you.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there.
I want to ask you the most important question, which is, and I just want to get you on the record. I know the answer to it, but have you watched Godzilla vs. Kong yet?
I have not yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but for some reason I have not just jumped right into it.
Yeah, I need to hop on it too. Maybe we can stream us watching it together. It'll be great. Okay. All right. So we've got you on. Normally we are a football show. The middle word of this program is football, after all. But there's big news in the basketball world today in Texas, and we would be remiss if we didn't bring on our basketball insider. Let's talk about it. Chris Beard, the head coach of Texas Tech, is no longer the head coach of Texas Tech. He will be, according to reports, the new head coach at the University of Texas, replacing Shaka Smart. I guess your initial reaction to the news today of Chris Beard leaving Tech to go to Texas?
Somewhat not shocking, but then part of me is like, okay, I guess Texas is okay paying its basketball coach more than its football coach. That was kind of I have an article up on TexasBasketball.com where I kind of run through about 3 or 4 candidates that I thought would be in the running, and that was the biggest hurdle for me to convince me that Beard would get the job, because he makes roughly, I think, about $5.5 or $6 million at Tech, and Steve Sarkisian at Texas makes 5.2. And they'd have to obviously match that and probably surpass that by $1 million or $2 million, and I just didn't see that. I didn't see that happening. And now, if we ever see Steve Sarkisian and Chris Beard out to dinner in Austin, Chris Beard's picking up the tab. So
it is rather remarkable, and I think that you take a look, you take a look at who Chris Del Conte, the athletic director at Texas, has hired over the course of his tenure there. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian becoming the head coach for football. You add in Chris Beard to what's already, let's add in the other one, which is Vic Schaefer. Hiring Vic Schaefer away from Mississippi State, already a women's college basketball powerhouse, to come to Texas. Do you look at this is a weighted question. Do you look at this as a signature hire here for Chris Del Conte?
I think so. I think that's why I'm partially, and why I was underwhelmed, why a lot of people were underwhelmed with Steve Sarkisian, is because he was coming off literally a summer where he just poached, Vic Schaefer. And this was, there were rumblings that Chris Beard was obviously their top target. And I don't know, I can't think of another hire that mimics this or that would surpass this, right? Maybe if he would have landed Urban Meyer, or maybe if he would have poached somebody like a James Franklin, or, in football. But I couldn't think of a more on the money, powerhouse hire, because Tech's obviously a rival, obviously a Big 12 power, a national power now. And, to me, the biggest thing was that the biggest thing connecting Chris Beard to Texas was the fact that he was an alum. But he was a Tech assistant longer than he was an alum under Bob Knight. And a lot of people thought that loyalty aspect would, maybe keep him at Tech, and the fact that Tech's okay being a basketball powerhouse and a more of a competitive football school, as opposed to, a powerhouse in football and a competitive basketball program. So they had no problem paying him $6 million, while Matt Wells, made less. But yeah, I get, I'm curious to see the demands that Beard had to have made and the assurances that he had to have gotten, because we know that Texas they broke ground on a new stadium, or a new arena, because the Irwin Center is a cavernous, void. And so I'm wondering if he has assurances about what that facility will be and what else the program is going to be doing to kind of boost the perception.
Finally, Ishmael Johnson, you can find his fine work at TexasBasketball.com. There is another side to this. Obviously, I think Texas fans are pretty fired up to bring in a guy like Chris Beard, who's taken a program to to the national title game just a couple of years ago. There is another side to this, which is now Texas Tech is an intriguing opening in the college basketball coaching ranks. I'm not going to ask you to handicap things, but when you take a look at who Texas Tech may be looking at for their next basketball coach, what do you see?
I wonder how much they I mean, they obviously invested a lot in Chris Beard, and to me, it wouldn't make sense for them to just scrap what he built there. So I think they should consider promoting from within. Ulrich Maligi is one of his prominent assistants. He was their top player development and recruiting guy. I would not be surprised if they decide to give him the job, or at least look at him very seriously. Then of course you have to go outside of that. If you don't promote within, I think that the natural names are going to be Grant McCaslin at North Texas. I know he's also going to be in the running for the Oklahoma job by a lot of reports. I don't know if you go somebody like Joe Golding out of Abilene Christian. He obviously did a great job, but I think that where Tech is, they're in a position to maybe look a little bit bigger. So I think Golding would be a great head coach, but I think he's maybe one job away from getting that job. I think maybe somebody like McCaslin would be more of their fit, because culture-wise, he also wouldn't be that big of a shift from what Chris Beard was able to do defensively with that program. So basically, I would go Maligi, but I wouldn't be shocked if they go outside for somebody like a McCaslin.
He's Ishmael Johnson. He's the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Basketball. Find his fine work at texasbasketball.com. And you want to tell people about your podcast? You got this cool new podcast.
Yeah, Texas 24 on Apple Podcasts right now. We're working to get it on Spotify and some other spots too. But yeah, we've been pumping out multiple podcasts a week for the men's and women's tournaments. We did our first couple episodes over the girls and boys state, kind of previewing and then recapping girls and boys state basketball. So you can go back and listen to those as well. It's me and Matthew Bruni from 247. Yeah, it's been really good so far. We pumped out quite a bit of episodes in the span of like roughly a month. So yeah, go subscribe, rate, all that stuff.
It's Texas 24, hosted by Ishmael Johnson. And Ish, go enjoy Godzilla vs. Kong, and then afterwards we can record a joint podcast going minute by minute and frame by frame.
Oh yeah, definitely 3 hours minimum.
Later, Ish.
Bye, Ish.
There he goes.
Later.
Ishmael Johnson, the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Basketball, joining us here to talk a little bit of basketball.